Moonprincess here, and tonight we're going to talk about Mary Ann Cotton. So Mary Ann Cotton was also known as Mary Ann Mowbray, Mary Ann Ward, and Mary Ann Robinson, and she is referred to as Dark Angel or Black Widow. And in fact, I believe they made a TV show or a movie about her, which is how I heard about it and looked her up. I haven't watched the series, but somebody that was in Downton Abbey is the main character in The Dark Angel, or Dark Angel. So, okay. Mary Ann Cotton of Low Moorsley, Durham County, England, grew up in northeastern England. She was born October 31st, 1832, and she died March 24th, 1873. She was a British nurse and housekeeper, and often referred to as England's most prolific female serial killer, though that is a little bit debatable. I mean, it's a big generalization to say someone is the most of anything, so just keep that in mind. But she is believed to have killed 21 or more people before her death, or execution, in 1873. Her killing spree began in Plymouth, by the way. Anyways, growing up, she had an unhappy childhood. Her parents were under 20 years old when they married and barely able to feed them. Her family was always struggling to make ends meet. Her father was a miner. He was extremely religious and strict with her and her brother Robert. He was described as being a fierce disciplinarian. When she was 8, her father died in a mining accident after falling to his death. Also, side note, Mary found it very hard to make friends growing up, so she's not comfortable with friends. And her father had been active in the Methodist church choir. When her mom remarried, Mary was 14, and she did not care for her stepfather, Robert Scott, though she preferred being without him. Though she believed they were better off with him versus her dad, because at least he took better care of people. By 16, she grew tired of how strict her stepdad was and she left. She became a nurse. Some articles said to support the family, but I think she just wanted to get the hell out of Dodge. Anyways. Yes, that's what she did. She left home to work as a nurse at Edward Potter's house in the village of South Hetton, though she came home only 3 years later and trained as a dressmaker. But that's the last I heard about her in dressmaking. Some also described her as being strikingly beautiful, though I didn't see that in any of the pictures that I saw. But I guess beauty is different depending on the time period. I don't know. Alright, so then she ends up meeting a colliery laborer named William Mowbray, or I could say that, and she was 20. She married William Mowbray in 1852 in Newcastle upon Tyne, prior to moving to Plymouth with him. Even after they married, money was still pretty tight. They moved from South Hetton to south of England to Plymouth, which William was more familiar with. In Plymouth, it said they had 5 children and 4 of them died, but I might have some of this stuff out of order and I apologize. At some point, Mary became pregnant. September 1855. The couple moved to St. Germans in Cornwall, where William worked as a railway storekeeper. Then June 23rd, 1856, Mary delivered a baby girl named Margaret Jane. Mary's mother visited the family in St. Germains, and this prompted them to move back to the northeast side of England, settling at Burton Colliery, where William again worked as a storekeeping job. children together, but only 3 of them survived. That's not suspicious at all. The remainder dying from gastric fever, an ailment with symptoms similar to those of arsenic poisoning. William also died from gastric fever in 1864, as well as 2 other children of theirs later. William's life was insured by the British and Prudential Insurance Office, and Marianne collected a payout of £35 upon his death, which is about £4,500 today. And this was equivalent to half a year's wages for a manual laborer then. Upon receiving the insurance money from their deaths, Mary left her daughter with her mom and went on her way. She then worked as a nurse in Sunderland, marrying a patient, George Ward, in 1865. A year later, he died, and she again collected insurance money. After obtaining work as a housekeeper for widow James Robinson, weeks later in 1866, one of his 5 children died of gastric fever. Surprise, surprise. A year later, Mary visited her sick mother, who passed away a week later. What do you know? Mary and her daughter then moved in with Robinson. Then in April 1867, the 2 Robinson children died. In August 1867, Mary married Robinson and had 2 children with him, though only one of them survived. 2 years later, in 1869, Robinson catches Mary stealing from him, becomes suspicious of her requests for him to take out a life insurance policy. So he basically makes her leave. And he's like, get out. So Robinson is actually the only husband that survives marriage to Mary Ann Cotton, because he kicks her out. Then in 1870, Mary met another widower, Frederick Cotton, a brother of a friend. The same year, one of Cotton's sisters and his youngest child both die. September of 1870, Cotton and Mary marry. So she's a bigamist, basically. She gave birth to a son. By the end of the following year, Cotton and 2 other children died, leaving Mary and Cotton a nice insurance payout. She then took up with her former lover, Joseph Natras, before becoming pregnant by another man, John Quick Manning. He definitely quickly manned up, I'm guessing. I don't know. Then in 1872, Natras died, leaving all his meager belongings to Mary. Can you believe it? Mary Ann Cotton allegedly told a local official that she could not marry Quick Manning due to her 7-year-old stepson, Charles Edward Cotton, but said that he wouldn't be trouble for long. So this, perked him up a little bit. He's like, is that so? It made him suspicious. So what ends up happening is that when Charles Edward Cotton died, the insurance company's like, yeah, this is a little suspicious, and this official's like, we're gonna have to check the body, bro, because everyone seems to be dying around you, and that's kind of too weird to be a coincidence. So they exhume his body, and guess what they find? It's full of arsenic. And it was especially suspicious to them because he had been so healthy. They were like, well, he wasn't sick beforehand, whereas some of the people were, so it was not as weird. I wonder if she dragged it out when she poisoned them or something. I'm not sure. So, yeah. That is the reason she got caught, though, because of killing her stepson. So that happened. So they also exhumed the bodies of Natras, 2 other Cotton children, and found that they all had been poisoned with arsenic. Mary was charged with the murder of her stepson, Charles Edward Cotton, and while she was in jail, she gave birth to another child, only 2 of them survived. So yeah, 2 months following the birth, her trial began. Defense argued that the deceased all inhaled arsenic dust from the wallpaper dye. Nice try. A possible explanation, given how commonly arsenic was found in many household items, but that many that quickly, no way. However, due to the other arsenic-related deaths, this no longer made any sense. Prosecution's evidence was found sufficient to convict Mary and sentence her to death. Her trial began March 5th, 1873 at Durham Crown Court, lasting 3 days. March 9th, 1873, Mary was found guilty by the jury for murder by poison. Though a lot of the sources disagree or, don't give the conflict with certain details about, like, how many of them she was actually charged with and convicted of, but point is, they got her for it, and she died. In spite of this conviction, she maintained her innocence until the end. By March 24th, 1873, Mary was hanged in a bungled execution at Durham Jail in front of 50 observers. The task was executed by a notoriously clumsy hangman. The trapdoor, not positioned high enough to break her neck, and forced the executioner to press on her shoulders. 3 minutes went by before she finally passed away. So she was executed by William Calcraft. Mary actually died from slowly choking to death, which is poetically similar to the deaths of all her victims. I thought that was kind of funny in a messed up way. Mary Ann Cotton never admitted to the deaths, though she was believed to have killed at least 21 people, and 15 of them were family members. People described her as a monster in human shape, according to Newcastle Chronicle. And here's a little rhyme. Mary Ann Cotton, she's dead and she's rotten. She lies in her bed with her eyes wide open. So it kind of rhymes, but then also doesn't. So I still thought it was cute. So yeah, that